Alright, what's up guys? David here with my season 4 draft analysis for the Brooklyn Banettes, which is my team. If you're wondering what happened to the rest of the season 3 games, then that was because I stopped uploading after the point where I could no longer make playoffs, if that makes sense. So I had no chance of winning. I didn't really feel in the mood to upload and record things and all that nonsense. But we're here this season, and this season is a GBA style format with different divisions and all that stuff. As you can see, we're in the South Division in Alpha, and I'm just going to go over the team real quick. Probably won't be too long of a video. Just in the order that I picked the Mons. I'll describe what tier they were picked and all that stuff later. But yeah, so let's get started. First up, first pick of the draft. I went with Mega Lopunny, probably the best Mega, bar none, in League format, unless you count like Mega Metagross, which is usually banned. But in my opinion, Mega Lop is the best Mega in the format. It's really strong, really fast, and it's going to be tons of fun to use. To complement Megalop, I grabbed Nidoqueen. Very bulky, rocks, T-spikes, very threatening with Sheer Force, which is a broken ability, and overall just really solid. Next up, I grabbed something for birds, and part of a much stronger core with my next pick. Doublade is very bulky, he's very scary, he has access to Sword Stance, Shadow Sneak, Iron Head, Gyro Ball, a whole bunch of stuff, Sacred Sword. He's a terrifying setup sweeper that can just break Psychics that are a big problem for my team. He could break Fairies that are a problem for Lop and my next pick. And in general, he's just a monster. And speaking of monsters, we have Pangoro. Probably my favorite pick of the draft, really underrated. It's rated tier 4 with a whole bunch of RUs. And that just seems way too low for this thing. 124 base attack, it just destroys everything with a band or a life orb. Hammer arms and knockoffs and gunk shots. It's just, there's very few, if any, switch-ins to this thing. And with Megalop, it's a very powerful fighting spam core. And with Doublade, you have the very classic Pangoro Doublade core, where one complements the other. Pangoro resisting Ghost, and Doublade resisting Fairy. It's just great. So that was the main core of the team. These 4 Mons, they were the main things I wanted to draft the entire season. And then from there, I just sort of grabbed different things that I felt were really strong and that complemented these guys well. So next up, I needed a special attacker, I needed something fast, I needed hazard removal, so we grabbed Latios. Probably one of the most reliable defoggers in the game. Very strong, very scary, access to Memento to let Lop or Doublade or Pangoro set up on a weakened Mon. Dropping Dracos, Psyshocks, Calm Mind. It's a Lottie. It does everything, man. Yeah, I don't need to explain it to you. Next up, I really felt like I needed a fairy, and so I grabbed the best fairy that was left, which is Aromatisse. I think Aromatisse is probably one of the best fairies best non-mega fairies after Sylveon and Clefable. It's just so fat. It's a great wish passer. Has a fantastic ability in Aroma Veil, meaning it can't be taunted or encored or whatever. And look at it, it's just like a little powder puff. It synergizes well. It makes my my Dragon Fairy Steel really bulky, and it passes wishes to things like Nidoqueen and Doublade if they're more defensive that week. And also it gets Trick Room. It's a fantastic Trick Room setter because it can't be taunted, and it sets up Trick Room for Doublade and for Pangoro again. Just tons of support. Next up we have Seismitoad. He's my secondary rocker, so then Nidoqueen doesn't have to bring rocks every week that I want to bring rocks. It's also it has the potential to be very scary. It has 78 speed, decent offenses, and it has access to Swift Swim, as well as Water Absorb and Poison Touch. All great. I think it's Poison Touch. Should be Poison Touch. But yeah, he can hit pretty hard. He's really bulky, and he only has one weakness, and he absorbs Scalds for all my scary mons. Next up, I wanted a cleaner. Wanted something that could clean up after Megalop or Pangoro or Latios or whoever broke down the walls. Something that, if you want to break through all these mons, you still have to get through this. Because you look at my team, you could probably build around all my offensive threats with a similar core, but then you splash in a Superior and that giant Leaf Storm that keeps getting stronger every turn, then like, what do? Like, your bulky waters are no longer a factor. But yeah, it has access to other cool moves like Dragon Pulse, Leech Seed, Glare. Glare is fantastic. It has screens. It could go old school with defensive Serp. It was a very late pick, as you could see. And so, it's just a really solid mon, man. I don't even know what else to say. But next, I needed a bird. I wanted a Pursuit Trapper. I wanted a whole bunch more utility. So we grabbed the Tiny Hat, the Murkrow. Super cute. 91 speed, 85 both attacks. It has Prankster, has Perish Song, Tailwind, T-Wave, Foul Play, Heat Wave, Psychic, has a whole bunch of random moves that are all wonderful in their own right. It's technically a secondary defogger if I want to run not Prankster, which wouldn't be a bad idea. It does get Insomnia, which is very useful if I don't want to bring Serp as a Spore switch in. And in general, it's just a Murkrow, man. What more do you want from it? I noticed that my team was super Flying weak, Super Talon weak specifically, and in general was struggling with things like Fire and Flying and all that fun stuff. So I grabbed an Electric type. Rotom Heat is really cool. I'm surprised he made it down this far. One of the better Rotoms, and it's a Fire type. It's an Electric type. It covers everything that I was missing in my draft, and so it's just all around really solid. It's good utility, good offense, it's good defensively, and then last but not least, I wanted a Spiker. I wanted a Spiker real bad. Scolipede was still up. Granted, I'm talking a few turns ago. This was before I grabbed Murkrow, but I wanted a Spiker. It was stolen from me back when I got Murkrow, right before I got Murkrow. And so I decided I'm just going to take whatever's left as my last pick. And so what I ended up getting was not that bad. I ended up picking up Gyarados. Very scary mon. Very surprised it was still around. I named it Scolipede because I wish it was a Scolipede, because spikes would be really good. But alas, I needed a tier 2 Pokemon, and Gyarados was the last thing in tier 2, aside from Blissey, which I did consider. So, Gyarados is Gyarados. It is I think it's the only thing aside from Seismitoad that could boost its own speed, unless you count Tailwind. Yeah, I don't think, maybe Lopunny gets agility, but that's whatever. But yeah, Dragon Dance is a fantastic ability. It gets T-Wave, it could be defensive, it could be offensive. It's just such a versatile pick, especially as a last pick. It's a steal. But here's the team. Get to know them, get to love them. I'm going to try and do some recording with this. Maybe I'll do a live commentary, maybe I won't. Who knows? Maybe I'll stop after week 5 because I'm 0-5. Who knows? But anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.